What's going on, everyone? This is BradScottArt. I always say that, and it's funny because my last name is not Art. My name is Brad Scott, but I'm known on all social media channels as Brad Scott Art, including YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and everything else. So I usually say, this is Brad Scott Art. That's neither here nor there. Today we're going to do a sketchbook cover. Going to do Justice League No Justice, and I've decided to sketch Black Adam, which I have never done before. I've never ever drawn a cover of not even a cover, a picture of Black Adam. Never in my life. So this will be interesting. I chose Black Adam because of the cover, the comic itself, Justice League No Justice, and then two, because of the movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And there's a part in the movie that I thought was really exciting, where when he's first introduced, when they find him and discover him and bring him back, and one of the soldiers runs up to him and he grabs him and electrifies him into a skeleton. I thought that would be a very cool sketch. So we're going to get together working on that. I've got my reference together, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. For something like this, if this was a Batman, I would probably get away with doing a loose sketch. Since it's Black Adam and I've never drawn Black Adam, I'm going to have to do a little bit tighter sketch, but I'm going to start off really loose, get my gestures in, make sure the composition is right, and then from there, I'll start erasing and tightening up the sketch. I'm going to start off with my Statler lead holder, and I will probably move to a more fine 0.7 mechanical pencil to finish out the sketch before I do the pen and ink. So I'm going to go ahead and start sketching, and on this one I'm going to chat a little bit about the movie and maybe a little bit about the character, and then the drawing process. So first off, I just want to get the proportions right. I have a practice sketch that I did. Actually, I think I can show it. Let's see how it comes out. Let's see here. There's my practice sketch that I did in Procreate, and hopefully I can do this composition pretty nice on this cover, and we'll see how it goes. So Black Adam will be taken up. He'll have a kind of a gesture like this, and he'll be holding the skeleton like this, something like that. So there's my basic layout. I thought the movie was very interesting. I've only read a few of the comics, and I didn't know a lot about Black Adam to begin with. It wasn't a character that I necessarily grew up reading, and I'm not a huge Shazam fan. Although I will say, the TV show Shazam, I never missed. I always thought it was pretty cool. If I'm not mistaken, he was in a van. I don't know if he lived in the van or he just drove the van. I can't remember. Of course, it's been a long time since I've seen the show. But I always liked that Shazam. And then, he turned into the Shazam hero. Funny thing is, in the TV show, he was, an older teen or maybe even a young adult, where in the comics, he's more a kid. And then in the TV show, in the movie, he's a little kid. And then he's not Billy Batson, No, Billy is Shazam, isn't he? This is Black Adam. So, that's interesting. I'm going to have to read up more on Black Adam. There is a great podcast that I listen to sometimes when I subscribe to it. I don't always have time to listen to it. And so, but it is man, now I forgot the name of the podcast. Jason Inman, he goes by Jawin. I think it's Jason Inman, who used to work for DC, and him and his wife, and I forgot her name. They do the what podcast is that called? The Geek History Lesson Podcast. That's what it is. And he used to do the TV show on DC, and before it got canceled, I missed that show because I learned a lot on that show. They always had, the DC fans, talking about the movies and the comics and different things. They really should bring that back. I think it kind of helped boost them up a little bit, to be honest. But that's neither here nor there. It's called the Geek History Lesson Podcast. And so here, I'm just going to talk about this a little bit. I'm just kind of sketching out. Your elbows hit around the bottom of the rib cage, which for this sketch will be about right here. So what I like to do is kind of swing out an arc to kind of let me know where the elbows are going to be. So this elbow is going to be up here about somewhere, and then it's going to stretch out into the hand as he grabs the guy by the neck. And, here I'm keeping it very loose just to make sure I have enough space for the composition and that my proportions are right. And I try to keep it very loose so that if I have to erase, and I draw over things. So like here I had the shoulder here, and then I moved it over and I moved it over till finally it's over here. And I'm just going to continue to revise because I want some space between. I want his arm kind of coming out here so that I don't get a tangent on the fist later. I'm pushing that shoulder out pretty far, making sure the elbow hits my arc, and then here into a fist of some type. Boom. I think that's pretty cool. Head down. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually have the face in shadow, so I don't need to go too far detailed into that. He's going to have a hood over, and the face is going to be in shadow, and then I'm just going to show the lights of the eyes glowing. But I think those proportions look pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with them. Whether they look good or not, I'm happy with them. So that's kind of cool. And then the arm, shoulder, this arm is holding him up, and he's picking up this dude like that. Got his hand wrapped around his neck. Now this dude's being electrocuted, and he's holding him by the neck. The neck comes out about right here. He's got his spine. I'm gonna do, so he's a big dude, and this dude will be like this. He'll have his pelvis right there. He's being lifted off the ground, dangling and flopping. So I'm gonna have his skeleton something like that. And then if the hand is around the throat, see, this head is in the wrong place. The head should be around here with something like that. And then this arm will be behind him, shoulder, with the arm dangling, and then over here with the arm dangling and the phalanges. So that's kind of the quick composition. I'm happy with that. I can dig it. So what I do after I do that, if I'm happy with it, which I am, the proportions are okay, the composition is cool, it fits on the paper, so I'm cool with it. I'll go ahead and erase fully some of my gesture lines that I don't want. Some of the parts that are definitely incorrect that I don't want. I don't need the rest of this gesture line inside there. So that's kind of what I want. And then what I do is I kind of roll out my eraser like that. And then I just I don't erase, but I just roll it over to lighten out the graphite. This picks it up, lightens it up without totally erasing it, so that when I do my second pass, I still have this as a guideline. And I don't know if you can still see that. I think you can, but I love these kneaded erasers. This one might be time to change, but it's not starting to mess up yet. You flatten it out, and then you fold it back over itself, and you do that a bunch of times, and you got new clean eraser. Now, they start off relatively light in color, and as you pick up graphite, they darken up. This is a newer one that I got, and it's hard, so I've been trying to mold it and soften it up. So I just leave it up there and play with it now and then, whereas this one is nice and malleable. I can get a fine edge on it to really do some tight erasing if I want to. And then I just kind of roll it over and just leave it stored there. Now, oops. I also have my standard eraser, and I also have my pen eraser if I need to use them. But that's when I go into the second pass as I get into finer detail if I intend to use them. But that's the general composition. I'm happy with it. So that was only about 10 minutes. The second pass, I'll get into more detail. Now for the second pass, as I get into more detail, I'm going to put in the clothing, make sure the stance doesn't lose any of its, the composition doesn't lose anything. I'm probably gonna shift things over just a little bit because he looks too stable, and I want to create a little more dynamic movement with him. I'm happy with this composition overall, but I think I'm gonna like push him over just a little bit. He'll be standing on this leg. This leg will be carrying most of the weight. So I can bring this leg out maybe a little bit more, exaggerate a little bit more, puff out the chest a little bit more, and we'll see how it goes. So I think you can still see this underneath, and I kind of want to push this a little bit more. So I'm going to bring that chest up just a little bit more, and he is a superhero, so I can push that out just a little bit more before bringing it back in, and then bring those ribs down. I think I want to push the torso this way. Something like that. Okay, I like that. I keep my center line reference there. I'm kind of digging that. And then I do the clavicle to kind of judge where the shoulders are going to be. This arm is up, and this one is over this way. And we're going to have a nice broad shoulder here. Big shoulders for a hero. He's kind of got his head down, you know, chin to the neck. And so I like where the head is here. I bring it down, chin underneath. And like I said, it's going to be in shadow. That's where the ear is going to be. And so then I know where the chin's at. And he's going to be hooded, so I don't have to get too far into detail into the facial features, because I'm going to put that all in shadow. And so I like that. I like the way this is kind of shifted over just a little bit. You can see I just shifted it over just a little bit, pushing it the hips forward a little bit, and this allows me to give this leg a little more stretch. So we're going to stretch out the pelvic just a little bit, and then this leg will be his stable leg, and we'll push it down and bring it forward. Big thighs, biceps femoris. I used to be a personal trainer. I still try to stay in the fitness even though I don't do training anymore. And so I actually got to learn a lot of the anatomy of the body because of that. And, you know, the big thing for me is understanding where things connect. A lot of people, you know, debate on whether or not artists need to know anatomy. You don't necessarily need to know what the muscles are. However, the more you know, the better your drawing's going to be. I personally recommend people get an anatomy book, maybe take one, you know, short anatomy class. You can do it online. Just understanding where muscles connect. And I'll tell you why. When people draw, well, it depends. I take that back. I'm going to change that up a little bit. If you're really cartoony, it really doesn't matter. I do a semi-realistic style. So for me, it's important that the muscles are somewhat realistic. And I'm going to give you an example why. So here, if I'm looking at an arm, there's a hand connected to an elbow, connected to a shoulder, connected to the rest of the torso. Now, movement only happens on the joints. That's it. Movement only happens on the joint. So from the shoulder to the elbow, it's a straight line. From the elbow to the hand, it's a straight line. So from the shoulder to the hand, there's only one joint in the middle. So you can do this. You can do this. You can do this. What you can't do is that. There's not that many joints. You can't even do that. You know, it's just not that many joints. And if I know if I put this here, this has to be somewhere along that arc. And wherever I pick it to be, the wrist has to be somewhere along that arc. So now, boom, boom, that's what you can have. You can have from here to here. You can have from here to here. But you can't have this. You can't have that. And when you understand that, now it's just a matter of, okay, my shoulder's here, boom. My elbow's here, boom. My hand is here, boom. And then you get into the hand and they do different things, and that's a different group by itself. But now I can build the muscles from point to point. You know, now how the muscles act, they attach point to point. However, if I'm bending my arm, I'm flexing the bicep, straightening out the triceps. So I'm not going to have a big bulging bicep as well as a big bulging tricep, but I can still show the tension in the arm. But now I'm getting too deep. So basically, understand where things connect, and then you can easily do proportions from there. That's all I'm going to say about that. I could go more into detail about it, but I'm not unless people say they want more. So now I kind of push the hips forward. I give him this leg for stabilization, and then this leg, I'm going to kind of throw it out to the side here. And maybe it looks a little bit cooler. I don't know. We'll see. I personally am already digging it. I'm digging it a lot. Okay. I swing this out. My elbow is going to be somewhere around there. Boom. And he's bending here. So the bicep, tricep. It's going to connect there. So I can get a little bit bolder. Give me my ham-shaped shoulders. Elbow is here. Hand is going to be there. But the elbow is going to come out a little bit. And then this is going to come out a little bit. I won't go into too much detail about that unless later on someone asks me about it. Then I can definitely go into more detail about it, of course. Okay, I'm messing that up. I know what I want to do, but I'm kind of messing it up, so just erase it and do it again. I want that thumb coming out, but I want the knuckles to kind of be the predominant. So I want something kind of like that. Okay, I'm digging that. The arm might be a little bit too short though. If I go here to here, I think that's good. And then, yeah, maybe that's about right. That's about right. I just have to, it looks a little bit short, doesn't it? Like maybe it should come down a little bit further. I think so. And this is not a tutorial. I don't do tutorial videos. I just do sketch videos and I'm chatting while I'm drawing. That's all. Yeah, I kind of like that a little bit better. And I want his fist to be kind of threatening. I like that better. And, but I don't want it to be a tutorial necessarily. I don't necessarily do tutorials. I take that back. I do. I have some on Skillshare. I'm going to be posting them on Skillshare. But these are just sketch, almost like a meetup. Okay, so now this, I'm going to have the shoulder here coming up. He's got that here. He's grabbing this guy by the throat. And the bicep is going to kind of be coming out this way, connecting underneath the shoulder. So the arm actually connects underneath. So it's going to connect underneath there. The bicep will be facing forward, and then he'll be twisting at the wrist to choke this guy. And even though that's a little bit further out, I want to make that hand a little bit bigger, make it look imposing. The large part of the forearm is going to be on top with the flatter part, on the bottom with the flatter part on top. This is gonna, I like to use a diamond right in the elbow. Let me see if I can do that. I like to put like a diamond right there to show kind of like a hinge joint. And I do a diamond to kind of point to up and down. I said this is not a tutorial, but I'm gonna pull out my paper and show you what I mean, because I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking about. So when I'm doing the arm, if I do it straight up and down, shoulder, elbow, forearm, line, line, I like to do a diamond along that line. So then as I build out, I know where to connect. And if I did it, same thing, and I put my diamond kind of like this, well, you can see that the arm is kind of turned that way. And so maybe this flattens out more. This comes out like that. And then this comes down like that. So the diamond kind of shows me the direction of the arm. A personal thing that I do, I'm not even sure where I picked it up, to be honest, but it's what I do. It works for me. I kind of like this composition and this pose. And then this dude is just what's going to be on him. The skull will be the defining point so that you understand it's a head. But it's going to be skeletonish. Is that a word? Skeletonish? Skeletish? So there's not really going to be a nose. The teeth. The jaw. And then he'll be connecting in the back here. Is he that much bigger though? You know, that's a whole finger. That's slightly smaller. But I don't want it to be that tiny. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. I don't want the dude to look like a total punk. So I'll do a little bit bigger. The skull is the spine is gonna connect right there. The ear would be somewhere around there. If I did the front, something like that. And then it would come out. Something like that, maybe. Did I just draw it the same size? I think I did. And then the spine is gonna just hang. Actually, no, it's not gonna just hang like that. There's three parts to the spine, so you've got the cervical, the thoracic, and everything. So I'm going to give it a little bit of curvature to kind of show that's the spine. The bone, the pelvic bone, will be something like that. Rib cage will kind of be something like that, maybe. And the arm bones, maybe some phalange bones. And then from the pelvis, and this has no bones in here at all. The flesh is just burnt off. And, you know, there's a big bone here. There's a big bone here. There's two bones here. Two bones here. There's actually two bones in the forearm as well. Again, knowing a little bit about anatomy helps there. Right? I think you can kind of get the idea now that this is a skeleton. And then the foot has all kind of small bones in it as well. The foot kind of has all small bones in it as well. I kind of dig that. I don't know, the nose is, I think you're getting the idea that this is a skull. The nose socket wouldn't be an eye socket. That's what I'm missing. Blacken that out, blacken the nose out. Something like that. and then the skin is being globbed off. It's being shed off, electrocuted off. And then there's going to be electricity coursing through the body. Maybe it's coming up a little bit. It's coming down to the ground because electricity always seeks out the ground, right? And the electricity is coming through Black Adam into this dude. So we want to have that coming up. Oh, this is starting to look really nice. Now we throw the hood on him. It's covering down. If his eye, I want the eyes to kind of glow. He's looking down, so the eyes are going to be about right there. And I'm going to place them right there. And so the hood is going to be just over the eyes. And then it's going to come over the arm. And then it'll fall down to the ground. Maybe lay over the shoulder just a little bit. And on this side, it's just going to drape down. And we'll bring it through the legs a little bit, maybe. Make it a little tattered. And I think that's a good composition right there. Next step, I'll kind of block in some of the major features. Like we know we've got the Shazam or Black Adam sign symbol. He's got a belt or sash of some type around his waist, right? It's kind of thick, I think. He's got some type of gauntlets on his arms. He's got the boots. But I don't think he has a lot of armor. I think there's some epaulets right there at the top that hold the cape. Maybe something like that. And other than that, I think that's all. So if I'm happy with this composition, and I got to remember my center line here. I don't want to lose my center line so that I know where the lowest part is. And I want to make sure that he's inside the belt and not the belt like it's painted onto him. Same with the gauntlets. The gauntlets come away from the body. Then his clothing is more tight along the body. Now from here, I kind of start to come in a little bit harder with some of the lines. Start carving out the pieces and parts that I really want. And I like that. This over here is going to be a little bit harder. But I think the next thing I want to do is really kind of trace out the electricity and what it's doing. Shooting some electricity. If I say there's a big glob right here, maybe shoot this electricity down across the body. I need big electricity surging from Black Adam to him. And maybe the electricity kind of flows over him a little bit in some parts. Surges up to this dude, fries this dude from head to toe. And just a big electric blast right in there. Down his body. Ugh, hurts. It hurts. Shoot some out of his dick. Oh, down the other leg, throwing off the skin. Like that. And then from here, it's time for another light erase. What this also does is it keeps me from smudging the graphite. As I draw. So now if I do that, it's less likely to smudge. And I think I'm using a 2H or 4H pencil lead, if I'm not mistaken. Which one is this? I'm using right now 2H. And so that is my sketch. Next up, I'll do the next pass with a little bit more detail. I'll add in some deep blacks and kind of pull out the parts I want to define, especially the focal area, which is going to be the Shazam symbol, the eyes leading up to the electricity, and I'm going to pull out a few of the electric strokes to really emphasize. Since this is going to be pen and ink, I got to figure out how I want to do that as well. But that's it. That's all I'm going to do today. I'm going to break for dinner, and then I will do the details, the detail pass. And like I said, since this is my first time doing Black Adam, I'm probably going to do a more detailed sketch, make sure it's what I want. If this was Batman, I'm so used to doing Batman sketches because I love them so much. I would go in and just start inking because I kind of know where everything's going to be. And but I like this composition. I think it's a good composition. Now I just got to figure out what I want to emphasize, how to do the electricity, where I'm going to put some deep blacks. And I'm basing this off of the movie, so I'm using a lot of reference from the movie. And I'll see you all next time. Peace. Now that I've got my composition good, I've kind of lightened this up, and I was using my lead holder for that. Now I'm going to use my mechanical pencil. I normally use a 0.7. What I have here in front of me is a 0.5, which I hope I have enough lead for. I think I do. I started using a 0.5 early on when I was drawing, but I'm very heavy-handed, so I snap the lead all the time with the 0.5. So if you hear psh, 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 that's just me snapping the lead, which is why I primarily use the lead holder, because I don't have to worry about snapping that lead, and the 0.7 kind of has the right density for me without snapping it all the time. So we'll see how it goes. I may have to stop and find my 0.7 if this starts just crapping out on me. Like I said, I want the focal point to be pretty much around the black atom symbol with the electricity going up to the head. So this area right here is where I want the focal point. So that's where it's going to be a lot of detail. And then as we get out, you know, further out, maybe a little less detail, but we'll see how it goes. But to start with, under the cowl is going to be a lot of deep blacks, but I really want to emphasize the eyes. And to do that, I just kind of need to know where they are, and they're going to, so I have my head shaped in here. The cowl is going to be coming down just above the eyebrow, and then it's going to drape over the oh shoot, that's why this one's the 0.5, this one's the blue lead pencil. That's why it was up here. I use it for comics when I'm doing my interior pages. I'm not going to use it for this because it doesn't erase as cleanly. So give me a second to find my 0.5. Excuse me, my 0.7. Okay, I've got my 0.7, and we'll get back to it. So this is going to come up over, and it's going to come down, draped over the shoulder, kind of like so, and it'll come over the bicep and drape down right over the tricep. So it's going to come down like that. So where the tricep is, it's not going to show because the arm itself is going to be here. And the gauntlets are going to be here. I mentioned before that this is my first time drawing them, which is why I'm probably getting into a little bit more detail than I normally would, because I normally would not get this detailed. I'd be inking from what I had if it was a character that I was pretty used to. In this case, that's not the case. And so I'm going to have to Okay, back to the face. So I want the shape of the head in here so that I proportion everything correctly. And if this is the case, and that's my center line, then the nose will come out something like that. So this eye would be over here like that. And then this eye would be over here like that. So I like that. And then the Shazam symbol, which honestly, again, I'm not super familiar with. Is it 2 down or 1 down? It's 2 steps down. So it's, looking at my reference here, making sure I get it right. It's 1 short step out, long step out and down. And this comes in out, kind of like that, I guess. And it's longer. I think it's longer than a Shazam, something like that. It's a little bit longer in the comics than it is in the movie. I like that, but it didn't bend it across the chest enough, I don't think. So I wanted to come around the chest a little bit more. It should follow the contour of the chest. More so like that. Okay, I'm happy with that one. While I'm here, I'll go ahead and knock out some of this. Gonna have a thumb coming out. Okay. And then these knuckles like that. And there's, so the eyes I'm gonna have glowing, and maybe just the lower half of the face in shadow like that, and expose the chin. But if I expose the chin, then of course I gotta do something with the mouth. Maybe something like that. Bring the chest over, give it some definition. Strong back. This part of the chest, it's gonna come up a little bit. I don't know if you all can hear the scrambling next door. Sounds like they're moving some stuff. Hopefully it's not too distracting for you. And then the hood is going to come out, and it's going to be
draped over the shoulder here too. And so as it comes out over the head, I'm going to bring it down like that. And again, I'm basing this scene from the movie because I thought it was just a very nice dramatic scene that lended itself good to an illustration. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a keyframe to the movie that they kind of put together as, hey, we want this scene to look a certain way. Oh, that's the roof. I think that's the guys on the roof fixing the roof. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but we are having the roof worked on in the building where I have my studio. I forgot about that. And if I really want that chin to be emphasized, and I bring that, there's this, he's got this like kind of circular amulet there. And I think if I bring this down and over, and if I black all of this, then I can have the eyes glowing. Punch out that indication of the chin, and then go right back to a deep black. I think that will look pretty awesome. I'm digging that. I'm gonna go with that. Now in the comics, his bracelets are rather plain. I do like the way they did it in the movies, where this is kind of like almost belted. So I may take some liberties on exactly what I'm viewing here. But I think that's okay. I think you'll still understand that it's Black Adam. So I like that. I like that a lot. Now in the Shazam symbol, there's a, I forgot what it's called. I think it's called a bead line around the interior. One of the other things I want to do is, in the movie, there are runes written on the uniform, and I want to find a way to kind of bring those out in the drawing. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I thought that was another thing that was very, very cool. And I do want to try to find a way to kind of maybe bring that out. It's the same thing with his belt here. I'm going to find kind of a way to maybe take some artistic license with what I'd like to see. in a way, I kind of have to stick to primarily movie or primarily comic, even though I'm taking from both to do the illustration. But I don't want to take away the fact that in the end it's Black Adam. I'm guessing, and I don't know, I'm guessing there's no way you don't hear them working on the roof. I'm just guessing, but I'm like, there's no way they can't hear that. Now, I might be wrong. Maybe you all don't hear it at all. Maybe the iPhone has that noise cancellation, which is that good. Now, one of the things I'm going to do here is I am going to, that's part of the main focal point of this section here. And I do want to take that to the next level. I think I'll just do a slight indication of this one over here. And this is domed over kind of like that. In my mind, I'm still thinking how I'm gonna do these ruins in the outfit, but I want to get some of this electricity because it's going to be a focal point as well. Now, at this scene in the movie, his cape really isn't torn up, but I do like the look of the tattered cape. So I think I'm going to, you know, ugly it up a little bit. I don't think the cape gets, you know, torn up until the bomb explodes on him, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm like, oh man, I think it adds a lot to the character. So I'm going to go ahead and ugly it up just a little bit. Plus, a lot of this is going to be in deep black to kind of silhouette him out. So having those areas where light punching through will be pretty cool. Okay, so now I'm going to shoot over here to some of the electricity. Now his hand is around the dude's throat, right? But at the same time, that's a good looking hand. The skin is melted off and he's holding the skeleton for the most part. So on the skeleton, which should be, I think I drew this a little bit too high. It should be right up under his hand, but that's okay. I'm not gonna get too precious and picky about it, right? But the skull, that's what I kept trying to think of, the word I was thinking of, the skull. We have the eye sockets and let's say the eyeballs are being burnt out, right? Let's say the nose would be right there, but at the same time, maybe a lot of it has been burnt off. And then the skeleton comes out, the skull comes out into teeth, into the jawbone. And we can open it up a little bit. And kind of gross it out a little bit. Right up under the chin. Okay, I like that. I think the skull will kind of be part of a focal point. And so I want it to look pretty good. But I also want it to look kind of gross, you know, like, oh my God, just burnt the skin off of this dude. And the spine would be right around there. And it's going to connect to the base of the skull. I kind of like that. Throw another gauntlet on him here. Again, taking some liberties on maybe what it actually looks like. And then I'm just going to lightly pencil in the arm because of the electricity. I want that to be, I want to save room. Okay, I like that. I think that's kind of cool. Dimensionally, proportionally, I think that works. All right, now get into some effects here. So there's big electricity all over this dude. He's getting eaten up with it. So I need to bring it, and this is the part I want to make sure I get before I get too far. It's coming from Black Adam to this dude. Around the arm. Up the hand, frying his brain. Again, I apologize if you're hearing that as they work on the roof. Now, when I ink this, I will probably not go directly over that line because it it'd be a waste. But what I do want to do is take the time to put in some character to the line. I won't trace it exactly as I have laid it out, but at the same time, I want to kind of get a feel for what I want. And that's kind of what I'm working on here, is just what's the feeling of electricity coming off of this dude, and it's grounding out. It's being generated by Black Adam going to this dude, and then electricity grounds out. I don't know if maybe I'm overthinking it, but electricity always, it's like water. It always seeks the ground. It always seeks the lowest spot. It finds its way. I think that looks cool. I think that looks good. I'm gonna have to play with some color in here when I do the coloring, but at the same time, there's some ribs in there, right? There's some spine in there. There's some ribs over here. Electricity is coming off the fingers, then it's coming to ground, frying this dude. Big bulk of electricity in his chest. I'm really not sure how I'm going to play that yet, to be honest. I'm gonna have to figure that out. It's gonna be a lot to figure out to get this effect that I want, especially with just pen and ink. Now, the more line I do on this, it's fine. But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to color to get the effect that I want. These big globs of stuff, flesh and blood, coursing off of him. When I get into the coloring, I can decide whether something is kind of electricity or bone. Sorry if I'm losing you on the audio with me talking. I'm trying to work through some parts here, and it can be a little distracting to try to talk at the same time. But I'll be honest with you, one of the reasons I'm doing these videos is to get better at drawing and talking, because at cons, Comic Cons, a lot of time people want to talk to you while you're working, and that's cool. I don't mind that at all. But you got to be able to work and talk at the same time. And also in some of the tutorials, of course, I have to do that. But those my tutorials are usually pretty scripted. Over on Skillshare, I know what I'm going to say, so it's not like a big to-do as far as talking and working on those, because that's kind of scripted out, whereas here, I'm kind of just freeballing it. Is that the wrong word? Freeballing it? I think it is. Sorry about that. But that's also one of the reasons why I say these videos are not for kids when I check that box on YouTube. All right, I think that's gives a good indication of the dude getting fried. And then I think I'm gonna have to do stuff with color and effects and splatter to get what I want. But I think that gives me a good basis to go from there. So with that, I can finish out Black Adam over here. He's got his boots. And I was gonna do some really, I don't need to do super detailed boots because they are not a focal point. They just need to look right. Don't need a lot of detail. In the words of Sam Jackson, try to look dope while you're doing it, you know. That's all these have to do, is just give that indication that I'm looking dope while I'm doing this. I wonder what kind of boots he has in the comics. I don't know if I looked that up. To be honest, I don't think I did. And this leg is going to come out. I think this is coming out just the way I want it. Tell me what you all think in the comments. Did I do it justice? Did I jack it up? Although at the point you see it, it's done. So the comment will be, again, it'll be a whole lot less I can actually go back and fix based on your comments by the time you all do comment. But it may be things I can definitely take into the next drawing to make sure things are good. If you know what I mean. Now with that, I have enough to start inking. But what I also want to do is maybe show where I'm going to just completely black stuff out. That will save me some time in detailing. So of course, I've already spaced this part out. I'm going to do that. And let's say the lighting source is coming from overhead. There's definitely some light overhead. But in this picture, the main lighting source will be from the electricity and the body burning. So this will be lit and this will fade to black. So inside the cape, I plan to black all of that out. And this is called spotting the blacks. And to be honest, sometimes it makes for, normally, I shouldn't say normally, what I used to do is just straight line drawing. When I got more into comics, I learned how, and I started doing more of spotting the blacks and putting in these really nice deep blacks that I'm so glad I've been learning how to do, because I think they add so much more to a composition, and they definitely help you with your focal point. Now, I don't have to go in and completely shade these because the ink is going to cover it up, and then I will only have a few pencil lines to lightly erase from what I don't ink. But like I said, and I'm probably going to sound like a broken record, haven't done Black Adam before, and I want to kind of get an idea of what I'm getting myself into. I'm going to say this is 2 layers. And as under the arm, I'm going to throw some deep blacks in that. I mean, they really do add so much more to a composition. They really do. And it looks good in pencil, but it's going to be mind-blowing in ink. Now the ribs would come down this way. And so I'm gonna continue this down like that. Underneath here, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Leg-wise, that'll be deep. That'll be deep. And then if I come over like that, maybe something like that. I'm definitely gonna lose some of this. Now, if this was just a paper sketch, I wouldn't worry about it too much. I have lots of paper. I don't have a lot of sketchbook covers that would be appropriate for Black Adam. Even though I have tons and tons and tons of sketchbook covers. I can dig it. Maybe throw that down like that. And maybe start inking from there. So what I'll probably do, because this is getting a little bit weird, and it's starting to build up, and I'm starting to smear it, I'll break it here, and then I'll ink it, and then I'll erase the lines that remain, and then I'll be able to finish up the ink details. All right.